Welcome back. In this lecture we have to look at the compiler interpreter as well as the dynamic sites. What are they? Uh, what you can say we will talk about the static sites, okay, and also we have to talk about the server side scripting language and the rendering language. Okay, so first of all let's talk about the compiler interpreter. So let me draw a simple diagram like so. First of all, notice that the job of the interpreter and compiler is same. Both of them convert the source code which you have written in your text editor or something else like notepad, bracket, etc. It converts your source code to machine code which is in the form of zeros and ones, okay, and this machine code is sent to I'm talking about the interpreter, okay. So you have write the code and you say that I have to print something or I have to perform some job in application, uh, web application you can say, for to be easy, okay. And for example, if you write that let's say print h1, okay, then say print paragraph and embed in image, okay. So by default the browser doesn't know what to have to be do what okay, so the interpreter make it possible that the server reads the information and then respond back, okay. And similarly, if we have to look at the compilers take many steps to perform the job, while interpreter does not take any steps. It's uh, exists and process the code directly, while the compiler is a little bit different. First of all, let's create some files. Now we are talking about the web programming, so I do not consider that we have to talk about the compilers in depth, okay. So compilers create some files and then convert the code into zeros and one, and then it responds in the form of executable files, okay. So that's it. This was the little bit introduction about the interpreter and compiler. I hope that it will be easy for you. Now let's talk about the static and dynamic websites. Well, let me draw another example. For example, we have these two sites having fields we have discussed in forms, okay. And let me copy this few times. Okay, the alignment is a little bit poor, but it can work. Okay, now this is one button and this is another button. Let's say this is the static side and this is the dynamic side. Well, what is the difference between them? They look same, okay. They're created with same code, okay. So let's talk about it. The static website, by name it suggests, it is just a piece, okay. It does not perform any kind of job. For example, here I put my name, my password, my email and press this button. It does not perform any kind of job, okay. For other side, in dynamic side, so we have to write a script for it, or we can done it through server scripting or client side scripting. We will talk about server and client side languages later, okay. So for example, here I type my name, my password and my email, and whenever I press this button, it depends on you what does function you have to perform with this, okay. If you want to save this information in database, okay, so it's gonna save the information in database, while in static website it does nothing. In dynamic website it can perform some job, okay. Let's for simplification, let's say that static website does not have any kind of behavior, while dynamic site have behavior, okay. So that was a little bit of introduction. Now let's talk about the server and client side languages. Let me draw it again. Okay, So what are server-side and what are client-side languages? The client-side language like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, okay, these are client-side languages. By this I mean that it does not require any kind of local server, or you can say like XAMPP, WAMP, etc. It is not required. Okay, it send information to interpreter convert it, and they convert it into 0 1, and then these 0 1s are read by the server and respond back. Okay, it does not require any kind of local server. While on the hand, server-side script languages require a local server. Okay, for example, we have to code in PHP. First of all, we have to download the server for PHP that it execute the code. By default, you can say that by default the interpreter of the browser does not understand what are they talking about. I am talking about now the server scripting languages. Okay, for this purpose you have to download the local server and install it your virtual machine, and then the interpreter will understand that what we have to do. And the by local server, by this I mean that they are predefined by uh, programmers, that if this thing happen do this, if this thing happen do this. For example, I have just print in name, okay, and I say echo stands for print and PHP. If I type it in client side, it does not understand. Okay, if I type in server side, so the information sent to local server, the local server read it and respond back, while the built-in server which is in browser does not understand this echo. Now if whenever you download it, the virtual server, okay, then you will be able to define something related to server scripting languages. So I think that it will not be complicated and it's proved helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.